China is vast, and its waterways provided the most efficient means of transportation over such great distances. Two major rivers traverse the country east to west, the Yangtze in the south and the Yellow River in the north, but they are 1,000 miles apart. China was a house divided. Yang Di decided to do something about that. He aimed to link northern and southern China by a gigantic central artery, a Grand Canal, a kind of hydraulic highway for merchants, soldiers, and citizens.
Very common to China in terms of constructing any large infrastructure project. You know, they would look at existing waterways and trying to find an area where they could connect and link the entire canal. They want to take advantage of natural geography.
This gigantic construction project would take more than 1 million man-days of work, most of it digging. Living and working conditions were horrendous, harsh and primitive. Tens of thousands died of starvation, fatigue, and illness. Many were simply beaten to death by overseers. More than 24 locks were needed to create a massive network of channels.
But every time you encounter a natural body of water, you need a lock to make a barrier between the canal and the lake or the river. When you go up any significant grade, you have to have locks to raise the water and the boats with it to get over any rise in the terrain.
It took 5 million workers over 6 years to build the Grand Canal.
When it was built, it stretched 1,200 miles, and it was the longest and most ambitious canal project that had ever been enacted on the Earth up to that time.
By connecting the Yellow River with the Yangtze, the Grand Canal could now transport goods up to 45 miles a day. Major cities along the canal grew into silk, porcelain, and cotton centers. Merchants and artisans supplied manufactured goods to opening markets throughout the entire country.
Economically speaking, it made interregional trade much easier, as well as providing work for a lot of people, building it, maintaining it, working on it, transporting goods and people up and down it.
Like the Nile in Egypt, it integrated the North and the South, strengthening the foundations of a unified empire.
Well, the canal was a tremendous generator of wealth. There was opportunity for poets to travel, for painters to wander and begin painting landscapes. So it really was an engine of cultural development, not just along its own route, but with influence far beyond its own confines.
With his engineering feat completed, Emperor Yang Di decided it was time for a victory tour down the Grand Canal. It was a garish spectacle, with an entourage of thousands, traveling in opulence that bordered on the obscene.
Well, the emperor had beautifully appointed luxurious imperial barges that could take him down the Grand Canal. So he would spend as much as half of every year enjoying himself in the sunny south.
The emperor redefined luxury, demanding exquisite foods and exorbitant tribute from every county and town along the canal. When large amounts of leftover delicacies were dumped overboard, the destitute who built the canal watched from the shore in despair. But once again, a Chinese emperor underestimated the power of the people. His voyages of conspicuous consumption fueled a mounting sense of rage against his decadent regime. In 618 AD, the people rebelled in a series of peasant uprisings throughout the country. Once again, chaos consumed China and soon reached the palace itself. Emperor Yang Di was killed by his own generals, and the Sui dynasty came to an abrupt end.